Good afternoon, folks. Robert Chappell here, Executive Editor of Madison365 with your daily update for January 31st. We made it through the month, everybody. That's something, right? I think we are going to start today. We'll do the COVID stuff in a bit. Okay, we're going to do the news first, just because COVID stuff is like actually really good news, and pretty and not all that urgent right now. So I think we will. We'll just go ahead and talk about Karen Ann Hoffman, who is a member of the United Nations and a raised bead artist who just recently got a very, very big fellowship, $50,000 from United States Artists. She's from Stevens Point. She's been a National Heritage Fellow with the National Endowment for the Arts. She's got work in the Smithsonian and in lots of other museums around North America. And I got to talk to her last week. It was a fantastic conversation, really interesting person, really interesting artist. And she's going to take that $50,000 and travel this year, spend the year basically traveling, visiting museums, archives, looking at old traditional work, because this is, beads have been a part of Indigenous art since the 16th century or so, reflecting 14,000 years of culture. She's really plugged into that. So really fascinating conversation. And a person you should probably know if you don't know her. If you're not from Central Wisconsin, you might not. I certainly hadn't heard of her before. So I was very privileged to talk to her and write up a little profile of her. Also today, we have a profile. Malik Anderson has a profile with Dana Pelabon, who is running for county board to represent Fitchburg in District 33 in Dane County. She's running unopposed, but you should still get to know her a little bit, because I say this all the time. Your local elected officials have more influence in your day-to-day life than the president does. Okay, it's the county board that's allocating money for health and human services, for the sheriff's office, for the jail, for the roads, for all that stuff that it hits your life day to day. Right. So even though it's not really an election, you should, if you live in Dane County, you should know who your county board is. Right. So read that profile. Malik did a very nice job talking with Dana. Dana's she's an executive director of the Rape Crisis Center, but she's also a local community theater person. Like if you've seen any community theater in Madison in the last 10 years, you've seen Dana at some point. I'm sure of it. So very interesting profile of her. Also, today we have a preview of a Black women-centered art exhibit at Madison College at the Truax campus on the east side of Madison. It is being put together by the Black Women's Affinity Group to celebrate, to remember Zigbodi Akea, who this is who you see here, was an advisor on campus for 17 years or so, and had passed away, unfortunately, last year. She always wanted to see a Black women-centered art exhibit at the art gallery there at Madison College. So the Black Women Affinity Group has put that together. And Angelica Usery, our reporter, spoke with the organizer of that event, Jody Pope Williams, who's a community engagement coordinator for Madison College and chair of the Black Women's Affinity Group. So the exhibit will run through Black History Month, the month of February. And there's a free opening reception tomorrow evening from 5 to 7. So I recommend you stop by that and take a look if you can get to the east side of Madison tomorrow. And finally today in national news, 6 HBCUs got bomb threats this morning. And I don't have to tell you, that's not a coincidence. Southern University and A&M, Howard University, Bethune-Cookman University, Albany State, Bowie State, and Delaware State all received bomb threats this morning. 5 of those schools continue to investigate the threat and remained on lockdown as of noon today. I haven't heard an update since then. A Washington Metropolitan Police Department spokesman confirmed that at Howard, the scene had been cleared with no hazardous materials found. So it seems to have been just a threat, but at least at Howard. but it's ugly and awful. Now, we will take a short pause and then we'll talk through the COVID data, although I would tell you that the COVID data are good news today. All the numbers are heading in the right direction. We do have a little tiny concern that we'll talk about with another variant, but we'll talk about that right after this. Don't go away. All right, thanks for sticking with me. The COVID numbers today, we'll just talk through the numbers quick. Just all 72 counties in Wisconsin still critically high in terms of disease activity level, but that only indicates cases per 100,000 people. Right now, we are at 5,926 new cases per day, 7-day average. It was over 7,000 on Friday, so that's come down by over 1,000 just over the weekend. That's 2,491 new cases today. That's half of what we saw last Monday. Mondays are always a little bit low, right? Because there's not as much processing happening over the weekend. But that's still to be half of this Monday of what it was last Monday. We'll take it. 7-day positive test rate down to 20%. It was 22 on Friday. It was 30 at the beginning of the month, or about the 7th of January. So that is coming down, though not quite as sharply as the new confirmed cases. Hospitalizations actually up for the day, but just a little bit. This is not enough to concern me. We're still way down from Friday. Friday we were at 1,700. Today we're at 1,579. That represents a decrease of 351 just in the past 7 days. That's a massive drop in the hospitalized population, but it's up 15 since yesterday. So tiny little number from yesterday. I wouldn't worry about it. The ICU population is down to 318. That's all good. The deaths continue to stay level, right at 31 per day. That's only one new confirmed death reported yesterday. But again, Sundays, they're not doing the paperwork. They're not certifying the death certificates as much on the weekends. So we'll see that jump up tomorrow, most likely a little bit. We hope not, right? I hope it stays at 31 and comes down. I still anticipate in the next 2 weeks that will go up to reflect the increase in cases we saw 4 weeks ago or so. If it doesn't go up, that'll be very good news, right? We'll take it. 31 deaths per day would make COVID the leading cause of death in Wisconsin. So 31 is bad enough, right? We don't need it to get to 40, 50, 60 the way it did in 2020. But it might do that. It might go up still, right? We might see it over the next 2-3 weeks go up to reflect deaths that actually happened in the previous weeks, right? So we'll keep our fingers crossed that it's not going up, and we'll see what happens. Now, one thing I'll mention is there is just again, not to scare anybody, not to panic anybody, but there is a new Omicron variant. It's still within the Omicron variant. Remember, there was Delta and then Delta Plus back in the fall. Now we've got this Omicron BA2, which is, I know very little about like viral genetics and anything like that, but it is seem as if it's spreading faster even than the original Omicron variant, at least in some places around the world. Not in the United States, not in Wisconsin, but it seems to be in some spots a new version of Omicron that is actually more contagious than Omicron, which is far more contagious than everything else. Now, is that new variant going to cause another spike in cases? I wouldn't think so. I am not personally terribly concerned about it, but we'll keep an eye on it. I just wanted to plant that seed for you. That is, it's 1.5 times more contagious, says DJ. I have not seen that. I don't doubt that you've seen that. I have not seen that specific measure. That would be a lot because Omicron is like way more than 1.5 times. Is like 3 times or up to 3 to 10 times more contagious than Delta. So 1.5 more times more contagious than regular Omicron would be significant, right? So in any case, we'll keep an eye on it, and if that's the case, it might actually cause another little bump here in Wisconsin. However, I will say I'm much more. We're at 63.3% having one dose of vaccine. 59.3% completed the series. Got to get more people vaccinated and boosted to avoid that another Omicron surge, I think. Also, I will say, classes started at campus last Tuesday. If getting all those people in on the campuses, if that's going to cause a surge, we will notice that in the next couple of days. It may not, right? There wasn't a big surge this last fall. There was a huge surge fall of 2020. Remember that. But in fall of 2021, wasn't so much. Spring of 2022, we'll have to wait and see. We'll know in the next couple of days if classes restarting is going to cause a surge. So we will keep an eye on that as well. That's all I have for you. Have a wonderful evening, and take care of yourself. Take care of each other. We'll see you tomorrow.
This is 365 Media.